You'll marry the farmer, and that's final, Grandma snapped, pushing a folded paper into my palm. Victoria's scandal would ruin this family. Be useful for once, Camilla. My name is Camilla Lane, and this is how I ended up shipped off to the middle of nowhere to marry a man I'd never met, because my perfect stepsister got caught cheating on a senator's son. They drew fake lots. Both slips said farmer. I never had a choice. I was 24 years old, working as a graphic designer in the city. I had my own apartment, my own life, my own dreams. None of that mattered to my grandmother. Victoria was her golden child. Beautiful, charming, connected to all the right people. When she got caught in bed with her yoga instructor while engaged to Senator Blake Morrison's son, it became a family crisis. Someone had to fix it. Someone had to take the blame. That someone was me. My grandmother rigged the marriage lottery in front of the entire family. She made a big show of putting 2 slips of paper in a bowl. One supposedly said farmer, the other said senator. Victoria drew first. She unfolded her paper and smiled with relief. Senator, she announced. Then it was my turn. I already knew what mine would say before I opened it. Farmer, I read aloud. Everyone clapped like this was fair. Like this was justice. My father stood in the corner, silent. He'd remarried into this family after my mother died, and he'd become a ghost in his own life. Victoria hugged me with fake sympathy. I'm so sorry, Camilla, but someone has to marry him. The contract was already signed. The contract, a business deal between our family's real estate company and some rural landowner. A marriage for land access. I was the sacrifice. I arrived at the farm on a gray afternoon. The property looked run down from the road. Wooden fences that needed paint. A barn with a sagging roof. Fields that stretched endlessly in every direction. This was my prison now. A man stepped out of the farmhouse as my taxi pulled away. He was tall, with dark hair and quiet eyes. He wore simple clothes, jeans, a flannel shirt, work boots. Camilla, he asked. I nodded, unable to speak. I'm Dante, he said. Welcome. His voice was surprisingly gentle. I'd expected someone rough, maybe angry about this arrangement. But Dante seemed calm, almost kind. He picked up my suitcase without asking and carried it toward the house. I followed, my heels sinking into the dirt with each step. Inside, the house was simple but clean. Furniture that looked handmade. A kitchen that smelled like bread. You can have the upstairs bedroom, Dante said. I'll stay down here. At least he wasn't expecting me to share a bed. The next morning, I met Dante's daughter. Her name was Maya, and she was 7 years old with dark curls and solemn eyes. She didn't speak. She just stared at me from across the kitchen table. Maya doesn't talk much, Dante explained quietly. She hasn't spoken since her mother died 3 years ago. My chest tightened. This little girl had lost her mother, and now a stranger was living in her house. I knelt down to Maya's level. Hi, Maya. I'm Camilla. I know this is weird for you. It's weird for me too. She blinked at me. Then, slowly, she reached out and touched my hair. It was the gentlest touch, like she was checking if I was real. Your hair is pretty, Dante translated, though Maya hadn't said a word. Over the next few days, Maya followed me everywhere. She didn't speak, but she was always there, watching, listening. I started helping around the farm because I had nothing else to do. I learned to feed the chickens, collect eggs, water the garden. Dante was patient with me. He never laughed when I made mistakes. He just showed me the right way and let me try again. One evening, while making dinner together, I noticed expensive wine bottles in the pantry. Designer labels I recognized from the city. Those were gifts, Dante said when he caught me looking. From who? I asked. Business associates. That seemed odd. What kind of business associates would a small farmer have? I also noticed his phone. It wasn't some cheap device. It was the latest model, and he received constant calls that he always took outside. When I asked the local shopkeeper about Dante, she gave me a strange look. That man? He's the richest person in 3 counties. Owns half the land around here. I went home confused and suspicious. I spent more time with Maya. We drew pictures together. We baked cookies. We sat on the porch and watched the sunset. One day, she handed me a drawing. It showed 3 stick figures, a tall one, a small one, and a medium one with yellow hair like mine. Above them, She'd drawn a heart. "Is this us?" I asked softly. Maya nodded. Then she did something that shocked me. She climbed into my lap and put her head on my shoulder. Dante watched from the doorway. When our eyes met, something passed between us. Understanding, maybe. Or gratitude. That night, I started noticing things about Dante. The way he moved with quiet confidence. The way he read thick books about agriculture and business. The way he handled phone calls with the tone of someone who was used to being in charge. This was no simple farmer. I was putting Maya to bed one night when I overheard Dante on the phone in his office. "Yes, the winery is performing well," he said. "The resort properties are fully booked through next season, and the trust fund for the agricultural expansion is secure." I froze outside his door. "I don't care what the Lane family wants," Dante continued. "They don't own this land. I do. And they never will. The Lane family. My family. The contract was for marriage, not land access," Dante said firmly. "They tried to play me, but I always play 3 moves ahead." I crept back upstairs, my mind racing. Dante wasn't just wealthy. He was the person my family had been trying to manipulate. And somehow, I was caught in the middle. The next morning, I confronted him. "Who are you really?" I demanded. Dante looked at me for a long moment. Then he said, "Sit down. It's time you knew the truth." Dante explained everything over coffee. He owned over 10 farms, a successful winery, and several private resorts. He managed everything under a trust to keep a low profile after his wife died. "Your family wanted access to my land for a development project," he said. "They offered marriage as part of a contract. They thought they were tricking a simple farmer." "But you knew," I said. "I knew exactly what they were doing." He leaned back in his chair. "Your grandmother is notorious in business circles. Ruthless. Manipulative. I remember the day Victoria and Grandma had mocked me before I left. 'You'll be nothing but dirt and pig slop,' Victoria had laughed. 'Enjoy your pathetic life.' Grandma had smiled coldly. 'At least you'll finally be useful.' Why did you agree to marry me?" I asked Dante. "Because I researched you," he said simply. "I saw how you stood up to them, how you protected your father when they belittled him. You have integrity. That's rare." I didn't know what to say. Over the following weeks, I grew closer to both Dante and Maya. We became something like a real family. Maya started showing small signs of healing. She'd hum while we cooked. She'd laugh silently at jokes. She still didn't speak, but I could see her coming back to life. Dante and I talked for hours in the evenings. He told me about his late wife, how much he loved her, how lost he'd been after she died. "Maya reminds me to keep living," he said. "And now, so do you." One night, he reached across the table and took my hand. "This marriage started as a business arrangement, but I'd like it to become something real. If you're willing." I looked at this man who'd been nothing but kind to me, who'd protected me from my family's schemes without me even knowing. "I'd like that too," I whispered. We started sleeping in the same room that night. Not because we had to, because we wanted to. Everything changed when a woman named Brielle showed up at the farm. She was blonde, beautiful, and confident. She walked right into our house like she owned it. "Dante, darling," she called out. "I've missed you." Maya, who'd been drawing at the kitchen table, went completely rigid. Brielle knelt down. "Hello, sweet girl. Remember me?" Maya scrambled off her chair and ran upstairs. "Who are you?" I asked coldly. "I'm Brielle," she said with a smile. "I've been helping Dante with Maya for the past 2 years. I'm like a mother figure to her." Dante came in from the fields. His face went hard when he saw Brielle. "What are you doing here?" "I heard you got married," she said, glancing at me with false sympathy. "I thought I should check on Maya. Make sure she's okay with this change." Something about her felt wrong. Over the next few days, Brielle came by constantly. She always had an excuse, bringing food, checking on Maya, needing to talk to Dante about old times. She was sweet to my face but cold when Dante wasn't looking. She'd rearrange things in the kitchen. She'd correct how I did things around the farm. "Maya likes her eggs this way," she'd say. "I should know. I've been taking care of her forever." Maya became withdrawn again. She stopped following me around. She stayed in her room. One afternoon, I heard crying from upstairs. When I went to check, I found Maya on her bed, holding her arm. What happened? I asked gently. She wouldn't answer, but I saw a bruise forming on her wrist. That night, Brielle told Dante that I'd grabbed Maya too hard. I saw it happen, she lied. Camilla doesn't know how to handle children. Maybe she should leave the parenting to those of us who actually care. Dante looked at me with doubt in his eyes. Is that true? No, I said firmly. I would never hurt Maya. But I could see he wasn't sure who to believe. Brielle's manipulation got worse. She started telling Dante that Maya was scared of me, that I yelled at her when he wasn't around, that I was jealous of their bond. None of it was true. But Dante was confused and protective of his daughter. Finally, he asked me to stay somewhere else for a few days. Just until I figure this out, he said. I need to do what's best for Maya. I packed a bag, heartbroken. I thought we were becoming a family. Now I was being pushed out by a liar. I stayed at a small bed and breakfast in town. I cried myself to sleep that first night, but the next morning, something changed. Dante showed up at my door, holding a stack of drawings. Maya drew these, he said quietly. I found them under her bed. The drawings showed Brielle. In every picture, Brielle was hurting Maya, pinching her, pulling her hair, covering her mouth. The last drawing showed me holding Maya while Brielle watched from a distance, her face angry. She's been hurting her, Dante whispered, his voice breaking. And I didn't see it. Dante confronted Brielle immediately. He showed her the drawings. He told her to leave and never come back. Brielle tried to deny it. Then she tried to blame me. Those drawings are fake. Camilla probably made Maya draw them. But Maya walked into the room and did something incredible. She pointed at Brielle and shook her head violently. Then she ran to me and wrapped her arms around my waist. Get out, Dante said to Brielle, his voice like ice. If you ever come near my daughter again, I'll have you arrested. Brielle left, screaming threats. After she was gone, Dante pulled me into his arms. I'm so sorry, he said. I should have trusted you. I should have protected you both. We're okay now, I whispered. That's what matters. That night, Dante told me something I wasn't expecting. I've been planning something for a while. A legal takeover of your family's land. I pulled back. What do you mean? Your grandmother took out loans to fund her lifestyle. Those loans are through my investment company. She doesn't know I own them. She's months behind on payments. Dante showed me all the paperwork. My grandmother had borrowed millions over the years. She'd used the family mansion and properties as collateral. She was defaulting, and Dante could seize everything. I was going to do it quietly, he said, but now I'm offering you something different. Half the estate if you want it. We can do this together. I thought about everything my family had done to me. The lies, the manipulation, shipping me off like I was garbage. I want in, I said, but we do it my way. Over the next month, I worked with Dante's lawyers to rebrand all the properties under my name. My grandmother and Victoria had no idea that the loans they were ignoring were now connected to me. I owned the mortgage on their precious mansion. I owned the land they'd built their reputation on. And they had no idea the poor farm girl they'd mocked was now their landlord. I spent weeks preparing. I set up accounts, signed documents, and made sure everything was legally airtight. Dante watched me work with something like pride. You're brilliant, he said one night. They never saw you coming. Maya had started drawing again. Happy pictures this time. Gardens, animals, our family together. One evening, she tugged on my sleeve. I looked down at her, and then she whispered, so quietly I almost missed it. Thank you. I dropped to my knees and pulled her into a hug. Tears streamed down my face. You're welcome, sweetheart. I love you. Dante's eyes were wet too. His daughter had finally spoken. The three of us sat on the porch that night, watching the stars. I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt like I belonged somewhere. But we still had unfinished business with my family. My grandmother and Victoria showed up at the farm unannounced 2 weeks later. They pulled up in their luxury car, looking completely out of place. Victoria wore designer heels that immediately sank into the mud. Well, Grandma said, looking around with disgust. Living the dream, I see. I walked out of the house wearing jeans and one of Dante's flannel shirts. My hair was in a messy bun. I looked nothing like the polished city girl they'd sent away. What do you want? I asked coldly. We need money, Victoria said bluntly. The company is having cash flow problems. We thought you could help. I almost laughed. Help? You want me to help you? Family helps family, Grandma said, like she hadn't destroyed that concept years ago. That's when Dante walked out. He put his arm around my waist. This is my husband, Dante, I said. Maybe you've heard of him. Dante Cruz. Victoria's face went white. Even Grandma looked shaken. They knew that name. Everyone in real estate knew that name. The Dante Cruz. Victoria whispered. The one who owns half the county, I finished. Yes, that one. 2 months later, Dante and I attended a city gala. It was a fundraiser for local businesses, and everyone who mattered was there, including Victoria and her new fiancé, Senator Blake Morrison's son, the same one she'd been engaged to before her scandal. Apparently, they'd worked things out. His father's political career needed Victoria's family connections. It was a marriage of convenience, just like mine had started. But unlike mine, theirs had no love in it. I walked into that gala wearing a designer dress that Dante had bought me. My hair was styled perfectly. I looked powerful. Victoria's mouth fell open when she saw me. Her fiancé, his name was Preston, looked confused. Camilla! Victoria stammered. What are you doing here? I'm here with my husband, I said smoothly. Dante Cruz. Perhaps you know him. Preston's face went pale. Dante Cruz is your husband? That's when Dante stepped forward and shook Preston's hand. Good to see you, Preston. How's your father? Still planning that highway expansion through the Northern District? Yes, sir, Preston said nervously. Your approval on the environmental permits would be. We'll see, Dante said casually. I watched Victoria realize something. Her fiancé needed Dante's approval for his father's political projects, which meant she needed me. The tables had turned completely. Halfway through the gala, Dante was invited to the stage. He was receiving an award for agricultural innovation. He accepted it graciously. Then he did something I wasn't expecting. I'd like to introduce my business partner, he said into the microphone. My wife, Camilla Cruz. The room erupted in polite applause. I walked onto the stage, my heart pounding. Dante put his arm around me. Camilla has been instrumental in expanding our agricultural trust. She's brilliant with land management and community development. I'm proud to work alongside her. I saw my grandmother in the crowd. Her face was red with rage. I saw Victoria gripping Preston's arm, her knuckles white. They tried to bury me in the countryside. Instead, I built an empire. After the speech, people swarmed us. Business owners wanting partnerships. Politicians wanting endorsements. Everyone wanted to know Camilla Cruz. Victoria tried to approach, but Preston pulled her back. Don't, he hissed. We can't afford to make enemies with them. I smiled and walked past her without a word. The eviction notice arrived at my grandmother's mansion 3 weeks later. She called me immediately, screaming. What is this? This says we have 30 days to vacate. You defaulted on your loan payments, I said calmly. The property is being seized. By who? She demanded. By me. I own the mortgage. I bought it 6 months ago. Silence. Then, you can't do this. I can. And I am. Victoria grabbed the phone. Camilla, please. We're family. You can't throw us out. You taught me that family means nothing, I said. Remember? When you shipped me off to marry a farmer so you could save your reputation. That was different. Victoria cried. No, it wasn't. You used me. Now I'm collecting what I'm owed. We'll fight this, Grandma threatened. We'll sue. You can try, I said. But you'll lose. Everything is legal. Everything is documented. You're just facing the consequences of your own choices. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but I felt lighter than I had in years. They showed up at the farm one last time. My grandmother, Victoria, and even my father, silent and ashamed. Maya and I were in the garden when they arrived. She grabbed my hand tightly. It's okay, I whispered. They can't hurt us. Grandma looked older than I remembered. Tired. Defeated. Please, she said. We'll lose everything. You should have thought about that before you gambled with money you didn't have, I said. Victoria tried a different approach. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry for how we treated you. But you're being cruel. I'm being fair, I corrected. You wanted to use me. I let you. Now you're facing the cost. My father finally spoke. Camilla, I know I failed you. I should have protected you. I'm sorry. I looked at the man who'd let his new family walk all over his daughter. You're right. You should have. Dante came out of the house. I think it's time you all left. They did. Slowly. Silently. My grandmother turned back once. You've become just like me. No, I said. I became better than you. I turned the mansion into something meaningful. With Dante's help, I converted it into a center for foster girls, children who'd been abandoned or mistreated by their families. We called it Haven House. It had counselors, tutors, and programs to help girls heal and thrive. The grand dining room where my grandmother had hosted cruel dinner parties became a warm cafeteria. The ballroom became a library. The gardens became therapy spaces. At the opening ceremony, I gave a speech to the first group of girls who'd be living there. I know what it feels like to be thrown away, I told them. To be told you don't matter. But you do matter. Every single one of you. This house is yours now. Build something beautiful here. The girls clapped. Some cried. One of them hugged me afterward and whispered, "Thank you for seeing us." Maya had helped decorate some of the rooms. She painted murals on the walls, flowers, butterflies, sunshine. She still didn't talk much, but when she did, her words mattered. 6 months after Haven House opened, Dante proposed. We were already married legally, but he wanted to do it right. He got down on one knee in our garden, Maya holding the ring box. "Camilla, this started as an arrangement," he said, "but you've become my everything. Will you marry me again for real this time?" I said yes through tears. We had a small ceremony at the farm. Just us, Maya and a few close friends. Maya was our flower girl. And at the end of the ceremony, she did something that made everyone cry. She walked up to me and said clearly, "I love you, Mama." It was the first time she'd called me that. I knelt down and held her tight. "I love you too, baby girl," I whispered. "Forever." Dante wrapped his arms around both of us. We stood there as a family, real and unbreakable. That night, I realized something. I'd been sent to the countryside as a punishment, but I'd found something my family never had, genuine love. One day, while cleaning out the attic of Haven House, I found an old journal. It belonged to my father from before he remarried. I sat on the dusty floor and read it. He'd written about my mother, about how much he loved her. And he'd written about me, how proud he was, how he wanted to protect me from the world. Then the entries changed. After he married my grandmother's daughter, the entries became shorter, sadder. "They don't respect Camilla," one entry read. "They mock her when I'm not around. I should stand up for her. But I'm a coward. I failed my daughter." The last entry was dated a week before I was sent to marry Dante. "They're sending her away. My Camilla. My brave, beautiful daughter. I can't stop them. I'm trapped by my own weakness. But I pray she'll find happiness wherever she goes. She deserves better than this family. Better than me." I cried reading those words. My father had seen everything. He'd just been too broken to fight. I forgave him then. Truly forgave him. At the ribbon-cutting ceremony for Haven House, reporters asked me to give a speech about my journey. I stood at the microphone, looking at the mansion that had once represented everything cruel about my family. "They tried to exile me," I said. "They sent me away because I wasn't useful to them. They thought the countryside would break me, that I'd disappear into obscurity." I paused, looking at the crowd, at the girls from Haven House, at Dante and Maya, at the community that had embraced me. Instead, they created me. They forced me to find my own strength, my own worth, my own family. I gestured to the building behind me. This house used to stand for exclusion, for cruelty, for people who measured worth in money and status. Now it stands for inclusion, for healing, for girls who deserve to know they matter. The crowd applauded. Cameras flashed. "So thank you," I said, "to everyone who tried to break me. You gave me the tools to build something far better than you ever could." A year later, Victoria showed up at Haven House. She was alone, and she looked nothing like the confident woman I'd known. "Can we talk?" she asked quietly. I met her in the garden. We sat on a bench under an oak tree. "I'm working at a restaurant downtown," she said. "Waitressing. Preston divorced me after 6 months. Apparently, Senator Morrison didn't appreciate that your husband pulled his support from their projects. I didn't know Dante had done that, but I wasn't surprised. Grandma's in a retirement home, Victoria continued. The state-funded kind. She's not doing well. I know, I said. I'd been paying for her care anonymously. Victoria looked shocked. You have. She's still my grandmother, I said. I'm not cruel. I'm just not a doormat anymore. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry, Camilla, for everything. I was spoiled and selfish and awful. You didn't deserve any of it. No, I didn't, I agreed. We sat in silence for a while. Finally, Victoria asked, Are you happy? I thought about my life, about Dante and Maya, about Haven House, about the farm that had become my sanctuary. Yes, I said simply. I really am. Victoria nodded and left. I watched her walk away and felt nothing but peace. I'd built a legacy from the ashes they'd left me in, and it was more beautiful than anything they'd ever created. That evening, I drove home in the old chauffeur's car my family used to own, the one Dante had bought for me as a joke. Maya was in the back seat, singing softly to herself. Dante was waiting at home with dinner ready. This was my life now. Simple, real, full of love. They tried to bury me. Instead, I'd planted roots and grown something extraordinary.